So let's take a look at this. I feel like for a lot of you, a major relationship has just ended, okay? And you're kind of dealing with the aftermath right now of how to pick up the pieces and move on. A lot of you might have been in a relationship with a water sign. A water sign is Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, is what I'm sensing here. And I'm sensing so many cards that are echoing the same theme. So this is going to be a love relationship. And it's a love relationship that has been on again, off again. And then all of a sudden, this is one of those on again, off again moments. So this is like an off again moment, and you might be tempted to go back to it. Because at the heart of this reading here is the devil. And the devil indicates, it's sort of like an addiction to a person where it takes every ounce of strength, resilience from inside of us to be able to extract ourselves from the situation. So I feel like I can't even reshuffle and redo this spread, mainly because the cards are all echoing the same theme. So a lot of you, unfortunately, are dealing with some type of an ending to a relationship. But instead of seeing it as a relationship that needs to end, I feel that a lot of you are thinking to yourself that this might just be one of those, rough patches, like the on again, off again. It just might be an off day. So you're kind of hanging in there and you're trying to, be resilient and to continue to work at it. But the thing is, the other person, I don't feel, is very cooperative. They're showing up in the reverse position. So for those of you dealing with a water sign, so this is, once again, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising. I do feel that, they're a king energy, which is somebody who is like, it can be a man or a woman, but I feel like it's somebody who is very conscious. They're very deliberate about either withholding affection or either, no, it's sort of like somebody who is taking the situation for granted, who is taking you for granted, and who is not putting in their fair share of the work in order to maintain the relationship. So the relationship itself might have been very one-sided from one partner to the next, from either you or from the other person. And I'm sensing here that this situation has been kind of spiraling, out of control for quite some time. In the past position, we have the Magician. This is a situation where in the past, you might have felt like things were kind of like slipping through your fingers, okay? The Magician reverse also denotes an energy of one person in the relationship being very manipulative in a bad way, just instead of manipulating things and making something out of nothing, they're doing the same thing, making something out of nothing, but in a way that chips away at the foundation of this relationship. Because the foundation here, we have the Ten of Cups in the reverse. So I feel like a lot of you are letting go of this relationship, but instead of letting it go, you're thinking to yourself, oh, it's going to come back together again, because we always make up and break up. Well, at the heart of this is, that's true. You always make up and break up because it's one of those toxic, codependent type of relationship where both parties are kind of bound to one another in unhealthy ties, okay, unhealthy attachments. It's a dependency issue. So Taurus, if you're dealing with this, you really have to look at it for what it is, first of all, but also don't look at this as a temporary break from the other person. Look at this as a permanent break, and it is really time to move on with your life, okay? And we have here too the Three of Swords, which indicates to me, sorry about that, this indicates to me a heartache, okay? And there is no, I just don't see this going anywhere. It's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle, and you will break up and, make up and then break up again. So you have to change the way you look at this situation, all right? Because what's crowning you here is the Nine of Swords. It's sort of like, he's, if you can see him, He is very, very battle scarred, and he's been through a lot. A lot of you have been through a lot with this relationship partner, or a lot of you have just been through a lot in life. So you might have just, gone out in life from a very young age, have to take care of yourself, and you have had to, financially, you've had to be on your own from a very young age. You did everything by the book. You took care of yourself. You took care of other people. You sent money home to your, for whatever reason, you sent money home to take care of siblings, to take care of parents. You've been through a lot in life. And I do feel because of it, you are very sympathetic to people who are struggling. You are very sympathetic to people who don't have their life together, because you want to show them the ropes. You want to show them the skills in order to do that themselves. But some people take on more of a victim mentality than you do. Some people just don't, they want the help offered, and they're not willing to put in the hard work. Okay, so they're not like you, and you have to understand that you can't go through life just enabling this type of behavior. So just let it go. And it's in the reverse position here, meaning that it's kind of like, I've been through a lot, but I haven't learned. So you really have to open your eyes to look at this situation for what it really is, okay? For those of you, because we have the devil in the center of the spread, it indicates to me, addictions. It indicates like vices in our lives, addicted to food, addicted to unhealthy relationships, being addicted to situations that are not good for us, and things are starting to catch up to you, okay? So if you've had like issues with drinking, because I do feel, 10 of Cups can also denote drinking. I don't have other cards that corroborate it, but 2 of Cups, 10 of Cups, possibly drinking, or just being in the wrong relationships over and over again, hoping the other person would change, or thinking to yourself, oh, it's not that bad. We will, make up again. But I do feel, for some reason, I'm speaking to a younger crowd this time, because I don't usually get this energy for Taurus. Taurus are very level-headed. So I don't understand why. Yeah, this is definitely like a younger crowd. So if you are, from whatever age you are until like 25, I feel that this message is specifically for you. If you're in a relationship with someone who's a lot older, okay, and if you're like, younger than 25, and you're in a relationship with someone who is significantly older, possibly in their 30s or in their 40s, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to just say it, you're being used. Because I do feel the energy is very, very different. There is a fascination with you. There's a fascination that I'm sensing here, where you are looking at your romantic partner through, rose-colored glasses. And the person that you're involved with is potentially a water sign. So Pisces, Cancer, Scorpios, and they are manipulative. And like I said, a king energy, kings are very strategic. They are very, very careful and meticulous in the ways they conduct business. Okay, so they're looking at this relationship as if it is a business transaction, and they're the authority figure in this situation, especially if you are a Taurus female, young female, under the age of 25, dating somebody who is significantly older than you. You are very enthralled by this person because of their position of prominence, okay? I feel that they have, they have like a very high position. They're somebody that is very admired. Well, they have admiration from the people around them. So you are very fascinated by this person. However, I'm sensing that the other person, like I said, kings are very strategic. They know what they're doing, and they're counting what they're getting out of this. So you have to be very careful if you are a younger female dating that older male. And it's an on again, off again relationship. He could potentially be married. He could potentially be married, and you're in it for the ride, okay? You don't put yourself in this situation, okay? I'm sensing very strongly that I'm speaking to a younger crowd this time. I don't know why, especially like female Taurus, okay? For those of you who are like, the normal viewing crowd, I don't understand why this pattern is repeating, because it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not sensing that. The only thing I can say is that you yourself are in a position of authority, is what I'm sensing. You might be yourself in a position of authority. Someone in your presence is like, it keeps messing up. They keep messing up. And the kind-hearted soul that you are, you give them a chance over and over and over again. And I feel like for a lot of you, I'm still getting, regardless of your age, I feel that you're very accomplished and you are in a position of authority and you're giving somebody multiple opportunities on the work front. And this is the month in which you're realizing that they can't make the cut because they don't have the skills that are required for the job. So you're going to have to let them go. And it hurts you inside because you do want to give people, that opportunity in life. Because once again, I'm feeling as if you've been through a lot in life and you work really hard to get to a position that you are right now, the position of authority. And you want to give people the benefit of the doubt. You want to give them a chance. And you're starting to realize that, it's not about me giving this person a chance. It's about the person not having the skills in order to do the job. So it's a disservice. It's a disruption in the streamlined processes, in the workflow of this work environment. It could potentially be hazardous to other workers if you're for some reason working in like a warehouse or in a factory or something like that, where there is heavy machinery around. And this person's conduct would compromise the safety of the work environment, is what I'm sensing. So unfortunately, you feel bad, but you have to let them go. And once again, the advice here is you have to release, okay? You have to release. So if we're looking at, angel oracle cards, this is basically release your ex. You have to learn to release. Don't hold on to it so tightly because it's not going anywhere. I do feel cyclical patterns. Things are like going around in circle. And every time, it comes around it falls apart and you're like, I'm not surprised. And then you let it back in and then it goes around in circles. So it's a vicious cycle that you have to break. And the way out for this is you have to break the cycle. You have to be the one to take charge and just let it go. Okay. In terms of the foundation of this, going back to the foundation here, the Ten of Cups indicates, the apex of the human emotional happiness, satisfaction, getting everything, the whole 9 yards that you want out of life. So you're feeling ecstatic, but it's in the reverse position. So once again, I am inclined to think that this is a very one-sided relationship in which one partner is getting everything they want and the other person is always empty-handed and empty-hearted. So they end up empty-handed, depleted emotionally, spiritually. So there's something to be said here. If anything that is built on something that is that unstable is just not going to work. And I feel like the cards are all reiterating the same messages because in the outcome position, we have the Two of Cups, which means that the other person is not your equal, okay? They're not cognizant of the give and take in the relationship. They don't see a common path with you. At the same time, we have the Two of Wands, which indicates to me, once again, this is also a partnership card. And it means two people on the common path, but in the reverse position, it means they never saw themselves there in the first place. They never saw themselves there in the first place. They never saw a common ground, a common path, a common trajectory in the future with you. So you really, and I feel like the person you're dealing with is older and they've been around the block. They know what they can get and, they'll take what they can get. They might have made false promises. I feel like, that's something that could have happened. And you have to really think about this in a logical way because I feel things cycling back in. This isn't like an intermission. This isn't like, we're taking a break from one another. No, this isn't a relationship that's not going to work. It's imbalanced and it's unfair to you. So you want to really get yourself out. So release and let it go. And it's pretty much the final, so there is such a thing as free will. And what I'm sensing is this. What I'm sensing is this. Okay, so if it's a fated relationship, okay, meaning that you meet up and this is like the order of the universe. You meet up and in a year from now you're going to break up. And in between, whatever you do is up to you. And the sooner you break up, the better it will be, because it's a fated relationship that's meant to break up. And you're supposed to learn something from it. And I feel like from this spread, the lesson that you're supposed to learn is that I deserve better. I need to demand what I want out of a relationship, and I need to, set my foot down. I need to maintain firm boundaries, because I feel like this is what is happening here. And you're an earth sign, so I feel like the boundary issues might be coming in from the person you're interacting with. It's somebody who is taking advantage of you and taking advantage of the situation. They're taking your advantage of your kindness as well. And I feel like because I'm talking to a younger crowd, I'm sensing that they're taking advantage of your pure heart, okay? That purity. And I feel like they've been knocked down by life they've been knocked down a few times. And as a result, they don't know another way to live. And it's not your karma to teach them how. It's not, because you're going through your own karma, which is, building up the sense of self-esteem, building up your foundation for your finances, for your own life. It's not your place to teach them these lessons. They're off on their own path, and you both are like not on the same path or on the same wavelength. So it's not your lesson to be involved with this person long term. And I feel like the sooner you just accept that, the easier things are going to be for you, because we do have another person coming through. And, generally, I would say wait for one relationship to end and then heal up properly before you start another relationship. But I definitely feel circling around your periphery is a fire sign. We have the Page of Wands here, and especially communication coming through from a fire sign. You also have the Emperor here, so which signifies possibly an Aries. So the fire signs are Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. And I feel very strongly that this is a much better energy. It's a much better energy for you. So let this one go. And, Taurus, this reading is very straightforward, because I'm getting the same hits, same messages in different cards. So there's no other way for me to interpret this. But I do feel that it's time to let go, okay? Because they're not meant for you. And they're going to hold you back, and they're going to ruin that innocence within you. And when, especially if you are a younger person dealing with like a much older person, and you might feel like, are they taking advantage of me? Chances are, unfortunately, they are. So just protect yourself accordingly, okay? And I feel that there might be deception, manipulation associated with this situation as well. So I do feel very strongly that somebody is manipulative. Somebody's manipulative, possibly using guilt to manipulate somebody. Using like guilt and using like mind games. I don't even feel they're lying. The thing is, they're manipulative, okay? And manipulation has to deal with lies as well. But it could be like, you ask them, where were you? And they feel that, oh, I don't need to tell you, why are you asking me? It seems like that. It seems like you're not on the same wavelength. They don't see you together with them on the same life path. So they feel like they don't have to answer to you. And it's really frustrating, because you're dealing with somebody who is not an equal relationship partner. There's lack of respect in this spread here. So please protect yourself, okay? If you're dealing with fire signs, for example, fire signs are a lot more honest, but there is definitely an energy surrounding you here that something is off with this water sign. Okay, so aside from that, let me see if I can do an alternate reading when it comes to, love, work and finances. I feel like if you're in a position of authority, you are going to have to conform, and you're also going to have to for a lot of you, it might be a work environment where you're dealing with this, okay? It might be just a work environment um, where you're dealing with like someone who's older, who is potentially a coworker, who's bearing false witness against you. I know that sounds like very biblical, but it's just somebody who is not